US President Donald Trump seems to be going through a period of uneasiness. During his recent visit to three Middle East countries, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and Qatar, the uneasiness was evident. The media has already reported that. At many places, he mispronounced the names of Gulf rulers. Then, at times, he was seen sleepy. His movements were lethargy. There are, speculations that Donald Trump may be experiencing the start of old age problems. Many compared him with his predecessor Joe Biden, who was affected by geriatric problems during the last days of his presidency. Many times Biden used to sleep while walking. At times he used to forget things. He would sleep on, dais. So many things he used to do, which are common to old senior citizens. So there are many doubts that whether Mr. Donald Trump is experiencing geriatric problems. So this is one part. But was it simply his old age problems, or was it simply age catching it up with him? I don't think so. That could be one of the problems, but Trump has a real reason to worry. That is the precarious financial situation of the United States. The US is not in a very good financial health. That Mr. Trump itself had admitted that. If by conventional standards, if the income of the country doesn't grow, reflect the growth in the expenses, then definitely they are in trouble. The US is showing huge budget deficits over the last few years. Then the country has got huge public debt. So that debt of US is very high. As a ratio of the GDP, it looks like unmanageable. If it were any other country in the place of United States, there would have been a financial collapse. The US economy is surviving just because the dollar is the reserve currency of the world. This is one aspect which helps the US to raise debt very easily. People are queuing up to buy debt instruments issued by US Federal Reserve. That always helps US to get money, but at the same time they have to replace the money, and they have to spend a large part of their income for servicing the debt. So this is a big problem for the United States. So let's take a closer look into the financial health and the physical health of US President Donald Trump and the reasons behind his somewhat erratic behavior. Let's start from the Middle East visit. Welcome to Insights. I am Hari Kumar. Earlier, whenever US presidents visited the Middle East, they would balance their Middle East visit with visits to Israel. But this time, Mr. Donald Trump perhaps deliberately didn't call on Benjamin Netanyahu. He didn't stop over at Israel, even when going or even while returning. So definitely that sends a message. This is one aspect. He wanted to please Arab investors. In a way, he has succeeded also, because he was able to raise promises of investments to the tune of 2 trillion US dollars. Biden, during his term, was able to raise or to get investments to the tune of just 1 trillion. So in just 2 months after he became the US president, Donald Trump was able to get, promises of investments to the tune of 2 trillion US dollars. That is definitely going to help the US. This is number one aspect. At the Middle East, one could see the businessman Donald Trump rather than the US President Donald Trump. So he might have got a very clear goal. If you look at the statements of Donald Trump after he became the US president, he even before that his promises, then it becomes very clear that the main problem before him is the financial health of the US. A few numbers will convince you. Still, there could be people who believe that the US is very developed country, very rich country. So how could it be affected by financial crisis? Perhaps that's a paradox, but that is a truth, the reality. The current debt to GDP ratio of the US is 95%. So it means the debt of the United States amounts to 95% of the US GDP. That was in 2024. By 2035, this is expected to rise to 135% of US GDP, which could become unmanageable. This is one important aspect. Then, if you look at the total how the debts of the US are spent, or more around 75% of the money spent as expenses goes to debt servicing. That's a huge amount. This is another important thing. Then, if you look at the deficit of the US, it is around 6.6%. This is expected to deteriorate to over 9% by 2035. So now you got an idea of the reason for the worry of Donald Trump. So this is why I think he desperately engaged in a trade war with all countries, even his friendly countries. So this is one important aspect. But at the same time, Trump is very well aware of the collateral damage that will result from the trade war. So that is why he postponed implementing the high tariffs to 3 months. Then, after engaging into a war of words with China, eventually he declared a truce, and both countries have, withdrawn from their position. So this is also an important aspect, I think, because Trump knows very well to what extent he could go forward, issuing threats. Then Trump is realizing new realities in the world. For example, I think he is a bit surprised by the performance of India in India-Pakistan war. Pakistan, it has got weapons supplied by the US and China. But India is not in the same league. I don't think Trump considers India in the same league as China. Though perhaps he may be a bit more interested in India, that also I doubt. But at the same time, he doesn't places India in the same league as China. But he was surprised to see that India could, hit targets in Pakistan despite Pakistan having a Chinese air defense and missile defense systems. So he's a bit perplexed and worried over all those things. India has got its own weapon systems, indigenously manufactured. India is not showing that much interest in weapons of US. Now you need to remember that the topmost export item from the US is nowadays weaponry. So he is well aware of the changes is happening in the world. But at the same time, the result of Operation Sindhu between the war between India and Pakistan surprised him a bit. He never expected India to perform like that. That was evident in his, jumping the gun by declaring the truce. He wanted to show to the world that he still has got some amount of, influence over both the countries. But India rejected that. And again, he reminded Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple Industries, not to focus his attention on India and to focus his attention on the United States. He said, India knows how to make things for their own use. So he has become a bit frustrated with the changes that are happening in the world. So this is another important reason for the uneasiness of Donald Trump. I think in the coming days, Trump has realized that US needs to take an orbital leap to remain relevant in the world, because many countries in the world are fast progressing, and the countries that till the other day they progressed in geometric progression are, sorry, in arithmetic progression, are going to progress in geometric progression in the coming days. So I think these are the basic factors that worry Trump. He cannot remain silent. He is not that type of human who just remains a mute spectator. He wants to act. He wants to earn a reputation that he is the president who saved United States. He want to be remembered like that. But at the same time, he has now realized that implementing the tariff, high tariffs, or waging a tariff war is not that important, that easy, and perhaps it is very difficult for the United States. Practically, he has now realized the insurmountable hurdles before him. So I think definitely that is why Trump behaved a bit erratically in the Gulf. But for the time being, I think he has attracted huge investment. But then again, the threat is there that an alternate currency could rise as the reserve currency of the world. Earlier, India, China, Russia, and Brazil were thinking of that during a BRICS, but India's reluctance to go for that actually saved the day for Trump. But I don't think India is going to sit silent. India is going to bargain with Trump on that issue. So I think on each and every step he is going to face a tough competition. This is what actually worries Trump. Of course, the age is also catching up. Let's see how the more wise, the older Donald Trump is going to handle the situation this time. Meet you with updates. Till then, goodbye.